The Ginetta Challenge moves to Rockingham in Northamptonshire this weekend for rounds 9 and 10 of what's becoming a very competitive championship. And you've got the two classes, the G40 and the G20 contest to look for. It's a very wet road confronting the drivers then for the first of the two races here on the Rockingham circuit this weekend. You're on board with autocar journalist Vicky Parrott, wiper working overtime. This hardly the ideal track surface on which to make your race debut, and that's what it's going to be for Vicky Parrott as the lights go out. Bad start by Mike Robinson, very good start by Richard Sykes, who goes powering his way around on the outside. The cars head up towards turn one then for the first time, and Mike Robinson really struggling for visibility here. Turning his way out of the left-hander at turn one, splashing up towards the Dean hairpin for the first time, and he can barely see a thing. He gets out of the slipstream there to try and find a bit of visibility. Into the braking zone then for the first time of asking. Richard Sykes on the inside line goes through, but goes a little bit wide into the corner, runs out of road, and that enables Mark Davies to nip up the inside and take over the advantage. Survival is going to be all important for them in this race. The track almost awash, and they paddle their way then out of the Dean hairpin, down for the first time towards Yentwood, out of the right-hander. Then there's the short straight up towards Chapman Curve. Dominic Pettit there, look, going through number 16. Getting an early bath in his open-top G20, returning to the championship midway through the season, double winner. So the cars then, for the first time, out of Chapman Curve into the pit path, and then they'll accelerate towards Steel Straight. The gap's opening up already as drivers are desperately hunting for a bit of traction and for visibility. And the other problem that the drivers in the G40s possibly are going to face in a closed car is whether or not the cars are going to steam up. But Mark Davies has got the best visibility at the moment. He leads the way. It's Mike Robinson in second place, Clive Richards in third as the cars work their way then up now towards the Tarzan hairpin for the first time to the inside line. There goes number 4, so Clive Richards goes second. Goes a little bit wide coming out of the corner. That enables Mike Robinson, the former Clio racer, to get up alongside him. The TCR run car here right on the tail of Clive Richards in the Collards Motorsport entry. They come up towards Brook for the first time. The cut through, you go right, then left, and then work your way back onto the banking. This brings you out of turn 4, and Clive Richards goes a little bit wide. Mike Robinson looking for a gap on the inside, but he hasn't got the traction coming out of the corner. So that means at the end of lap 1 of 20 minutes of racing, over the line in the lead goes Mark Davies then. In second place coming through behind is Clive Richards, and Mike Robinson in fact has just dropped away a little bit. Also looking pretty strong at the moment, Rick Parfitt in the HHC Motorsport car. He's working his way into contention as well. The musician, very rapid carter in years past, hunting down the leading group now as they come up towards the Dean hairpin. Clive Richards brakes a little bit later than does the leader Mark Davies, and he's getting closer to him. And there is Parfitt going ahead of his teammate Sykes. He's through on the inside, going through Dean. Rick Parfitt, who we had on the front of the grid at Snetterton going back to May. He's doing very well in these conditions as well. Change ahead as well, because Bryant there has just gone up one place. That's Rory Bryant getting himself ahead of Mike Robinson. So Rory Bryant also going great guns in the Piranha Motorsport car here. Been a very unfortunate season for Rory. On occasions he's shown his pace and had mechanical maladies. He gained third place, but he's lost it back again. Look, Mike Robinson is back with him, but Rick Parfitt absolutely flying. There's Richard Sykes, who led for the first couple of corners of lap 1, and there's more drama at the Dean hairpin now. We've got some of the G20s there in a muddle. 57 is Brian Murphy trying to work out which way to go. And there's another one that's got embroiled in all of that. Let's have a look at the replay. Where does Brian Murphy arrive from? Comes up the inside, I think. There's one driver in strife already. Murphy comes into the corner, loses it, and he's a sitting duck. Bang! Hard to make out exactly who's given him the head on there, but there's certainly two cars in the middle of the road. And that's going to bring out the safety car, possibly. This is Vicky Parrott's view, trying to pick her way through all the debris and the melee. She has done so successfully. Luke Davenport was the other driver getting it wrong at the hairpin, and Vicky slithers her way round. I think the safety car is not going to be needed after all, in fact, so it was on standby just briefly, but the leaders in the meantime come battling their way over the line. And now Rick Parfitt going to the inside and try and take a place away from Mike Robinson. This is Mike's view. Rick Parfitt ducks underneath him on the inside and just easily breezes past. Tremendous drive this by Rick Parfitt then, another place gained. All the while he's being able to assess the grit by watching the car ahead of him, and he's adapting to this very, very well. Now he's inching up onto the back of Clive Richards. How far up the order can Rick Parfitt get? Third now, chasing Clive Richards. Matt Flowers there, goes off the road. Matt Flowers, thankfully, digs himself out, having planted himself in the gravel just briefly. And that was at the Tarzan hairpin. Another of the G20s losing traction. And there's the replay, comes into the corner, brakes a fraction too late, just loses all traction completely, skates across the wet grass, which doesn't help at all, but thankfully for him, wet gravel compacts, and therefore he's just able to dig himself out the other side. So Matt Flowers then, having briefly put himself in the gravel, rejoins the race. Meantime, Mark Davies turns his way now out of Dean. Behind him is Mike Robinson. It looks like Rick Parfitt's nipped past the pair of them, so this is the new fight for third place here. Davies versus Robinson. Down they go towards Yentwood. And Mike Robinson now becoming ever more of a threat to Mark Davies, who's just starting to lose pace as the race wears on here. Certain drivers adapting well to the conditions. Richard Sykes, though, has a spin coming out of the Dean hairpin. More time lost for the Yorkshireman. He should be able to rejoin. Thankfully, I don't think there's any damage, or is there? Let's just have a look. Was he helped into that? Possibly so. There might just have been a brush there with number 3, Neil Delargy, the former Caterham racer. So Richard Sykes spins around, able to rejoin the race, though, now. Richard Sykes yet again promising good results, but it's just not happening for him. This, meantime, is the lead battle, and Rick Parfitt on merit is about to get past Clive Richards. He's worked his way through the pack, he's hunted him down, he's looking for a way through, and off the road there into the gravel bed now has gone number 65, Vicky Parrott's car, and that rather looks like Vicky is going to be a retirement. Let's find out how she got there. Gets out of the way of Ryan Ratcliffe going through the Tarzan hairpin, runs wide onto the grass, off into the gravel. She might actually have been able to drive out of that. Let's just see whether she is going to be able to rejoin. Here's her on board into the Tarzan hairpin, keeps out of the way of the quicker car, runs out of road onto the wet grass. There's just no way back from that into the gravel. Very frustrated, Vicky Parrott. However, it may well be, as I say, that she will be able to drive the car out of there. That wet gravel compacting just gives you that bit more traction. Now, Clive Richards under big pressure here, look, from Rick Parfitt, who's doing a great job in these conditions, isn't about to make a move on the inside. He's through. Rick Parfitt goes by up into the lead of the race. Excellent performance this. Rick Parfitt then leads the way on merit. He gets a little bit sideways though as he flings the car through the pith path. Rick Parfitt then, new race leader. Can he get away from Clive Richards? The two of them running down towards the Tarzan hairpin. Parfitt goes a little bit wide out of Gracelands there, just hooks a wheel onto that very wet curb. Into the hairpin now, under braking. Richards fights back, but Rick Parfitt leads the way, or does he? No, he's lost the back of it, and around he goes. The leader spins, and Rick Parfitt, after that stellar job to catch everybody and pass them and grab the race lead, has just spun himself down to second place. Here's the replay. Comes into the Tarzan hairpin, just goes a little bit wide, a little bit too quickly, loses traction, round comes the back. He's quickly up and running again, but he's dropped himself now down to second place as they come over the line. Through he goes then. Rick Parfitt second. It means that Clive Richards is back into the lead of the race now. He's looking for a third win of the year, is Clive Richards, but Mark Davies there, who is in third spot, is also desperate to get past Rick Parfitt because that's going to be more points for him in the championship. Up towards Dean they come. Parfitt brakes late, and he's lost it again! Too late on the brakes, round comes the back. And that, I'm afraid, was a little bit of desperation in his quest to try and catch Richards once again. He's overdriven at the Dean hairpin, round comes the back of the car, and Rick Parfitt rejoins, but he's lost even more ground now. In many ways, they've been self-induced spins, but they're poor reward for the great effort he put in the first half of the race to get the car into the lead. It was a short-lived lead, and off in the background, look, goes number 34 there. That is Rory Bryant off into the tyres, and Parfitt's off again. This time it's at Yentwood, and he goes really wide all over the curb and onto the grass. Well, this is what happened first of all at the Tarzan hairpin. That was the first spin. That cost him the race lead. He got back into the race in second place. Spin number 2, just too deep into the Dean hairpin. And again, it's the same thing, just breaks a little bit too late and a bit too hard, and around comes the back. So that loses him second place to Mark Davies. And then he has his wide moment at Yentwood as well and loses more ground. So Clive Richards is going to win. It's been handed to him on a plate, but he survives, keeps out of trouble and wins the first of the 2 Ginetta Challenge races here at Rockingham. Second across the line is going to be Mark Davies, and then in third place will be Mike Robinson. So Clive Richards then takes a third victory of the season. It's been an all-action race, but Clive Richards using all of his experience to good effect. He hangs on for victory. Mark Davies second, Mike Robinson third, ahead of Graham Johnson going well, Ryan Ratcliffe fifth, and Sean Hyton sixth, with spinner Parfitt down in seventh. And Dominic Pettit comes home victorious in the G20 class. And that's his third win of the year.